would not believe your eyes. There was a firefight. For a second, this was Armageddon. They break into mobsters' lairs. F-bombs dropped everywhere, just like the toilet on that guy's head. I'd like to make myself believe. My forearm tattoo hasn't aged poorly. But it's hard to defend this movie when they let the N-word free. I guess my nostalgia's never as it seems.
Very nice.
All right.
Welcome to the Nostalgia Killers podcast, where we revisit films from our youth to see if they still hold up or if they should be inserted into the great DVD player in the sky. I am Luke Lond, and I am joined by Chuck Starzensky once again.
Yes, I am back. That's right. It's the return of the boy king, who is actually a 34-year-old man.
And we finally got Javier Martinez.
Yeah, finally here after a long time trying to get on here.
Co-founder, co-person.
I'm a person.
You're like, you know, it's like saying like, oh yeah, he's like the fifth Beatle if you were actually like the third Beatle.
Happy to be here.
And today we are talking about the Boondock Saints.
Oh boy, are we. Strap in. This might be, I was telling Luke before we started, this might be the first two-parter, depending on how blue in the face I get screaming about this movie. So you might have to resuscitate me and then just like, and I'm like, and another thing, I swear to God. Yeah. So, yeah, strap in. It might be a long one, but we'll find out through the magic of editing.
Yeah. Remember to teach Chuck to edit.
Hey, man. I try. It never always looks like I don't try.
I'm not saying you can't. It's your turn.
Okay.
Especially if we go long.
Like, I went to school too. If you've ever seen anything I've made, you wouldn't be saying that or thinking that.
Stop.
All right.
Yeah, go for it, Chuck.
Okay.
Well, Javi, how much nostalgia do you have before long-winded guy gets in?
Yeah. Let me get my word in. So I must have seen this movie late, maybe 2009, something like that. It was the first time I watched it. Okay. Yeah, it's about probably 2009, 2010 maybe. And I remembered enjoying it a lot. Not as much as my buddy who had introduced me to the film, but I remember enjoying it like a lot, a good amount. Sure. And I probably haven't seen it since. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I was expecting going back to watch it this time around. And yeah, I think went way down for me.
All right, on.
Oh yeah, this is the sinkingest of sinking ships. Yeah. But yeah, personally, first time I saw the Boondock Saints, God, it must have been like probably like 16 or so. And a friend of mine was having a St. Patty's Day party. And he's like, oh, dude, you got to come over. It's going to be great. Like green beer and like all that kind of stuff. Like as like a high schooler, of course. How could I not say yes to green beer? And, cheap Bushmill shots and stuff like that. And he's just like, yeah. He's like, we're going to be watching the Boondock Saints, man. And I was like, oh. And in my head, I was like, well, that's weird. I didn't know Val Kilmer was Irish. Because I was thinking of The Saint, which is like an action movie from the early 90s. I was like, all right. So then like the night went on and like, drinking and hanging out and stuff like that. And then it's just like, my buddies all, I don't want to come off like I'm some cool high school partier. No, it's like we're all just a bunch of fucking nerds. So my buddy's like, it's time, it's movie time. Woo, this is like the main event like of the party kind of thing. It's like, cool. We put it on. And I was like so shocked. I was like, oh, this is something completely different. But that being said, at the time I fell in love with it instantly. I was like, oh my God. This is so cool. This is like, look at these guys. They are so like tough and badass. Like it's definitely like, I was telling a coworker we were doing this episode and he's like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen it. I was like, oh, you missed the boat, man. I was like, if you weren't a slightly angry, repressed, toxic child, then you missed the peak, my guy, because this is not it. But yeah, this movie was quoted ad nauseum by like friends and people in high school and stuff like that. Like I knew so many people who had like the shirts with the whole, family quote on them, or the, I forgot to write it down, which is, I'm a goddamn professional. But it's like something about the Saints standing around me, whatever that like, that little like coat of arms thing is when they're at like the IRA.
The armory, yeah.
Yeah, the IRA armory. But yeah, so I think that's what kept me from getting my own Boondock Saints shirt. So I'm very stoked that I never actually like got that sucked into it. Also, I know people who didn't get the tattoo, but like got things that were like, so they were like borderline getting the tattoo, but it's just like, I don't want Latin on me, bro.
I absolutely considered it at some point. I'm sure.
Exactly. I think it's just, it's part of being like a young man at this time and being of that age. But I remember, like I must have easily seen this movie like 20 times as a teenager. I remember being so excited too that they were doing a sequel. We went and saw it in theaters. And I remember walking out of that theater and being like, I am never watching this movie again. Also, I might be an idiot. I don't, oh God. I'm not going to, nope, not going to rewatch the first one either. Okay. So I left it buried. Like I haven't seen, so doing the math, I haven't seen this movie since I was 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And I wish I didn't rewatch it. But yeah, that's my nostalgia with it. Also, do you have any nostalgia to it at all, Luke?
I do. I was actually around for when this came out in theaters. I didn't see it in the theaters, but it immediately became the most quotable movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And people were quoting the quotes, and I had no idea what they were. I eventually saw it. I thought it was pretty cool. And until rewatching it last night to study for this podcast, I had never really watched it. I don't think I
ever really watched it either. In that sense. Like I think I was like, oh, bang, bang, pew, pew. Hell yeah. And then was like, oh, like.
I was trying to parse it out last night about what it was about it. And it's very much a retelling of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah. This is.
In style. Not in story so much, but in style.
Yeah.
And that's what I was attracted to. I was like, okay, I'm just going to put this DVD on the shelf. Maybe I'll watch it again some other time.
Yeah, this movie is someone who saw a Quentin Tarantino movie or like a Guy Ritchie film 3 months ago and is telling you about it outside of a dive bar while constantly asking you for another cigarette. And you're like, dude, I just gave you my last cigarette.
And you can't get away.
No. It's like, no, dude. And then like, what's his name? I don't know. He's like, I don't know. What do you think I am? I don't know no actors. But anyways, dude, he like comes in the room and he's all like, say what again? I dare you, motherfucker. And it's like badass. You never seen this movie? Like that's yeah. And then it's that guy writing a script.
Yeah.
Which also, really quick. We're just gonna. I mean, I guess not quick. We're here. We're doing it. But speaking of writing the script, Troy Duffy, writer, first time director.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the lore of the film itself until yesterday. So I didn't know anything about Troy Duffy or its connection to Miramax and all that stuff. But after I did watch the documentary overnight. Yeah, and it really colored the film for me in a different way.
It fills in all of the, which also people who are listening. And if you want a little extra credit, a little extra homework, watch Overnight. It's a 2003 documentary. It's on Tubi right now for free. It definitely colors in all the cracks. Like, is in just like, it's like that's why we're just saying the N-word constantly. That's why this guy's a hard R word and a hard F word. Yeah, it's because Troy Duffy is like, oh my God. What a piece of work. Troy Duffy is just a guy in wraparound sunglasses that films vlogs in his Ford F-150 in a Walmart parking lot. Like it's that guy making a movie. Yeah. Yeah, just like sheer arrogance and just narcissism to like the nth degree. Like he's the guy like that you're like, oh, hey, you and I are in the same line of work. We should start a business together. That'd be great. And then he's like, yeah, we should start a business together. I already started like 3 businesses. Like, you wanna start another one? I guess I could. And also, speaking of business, man, you know how Troy wears like Hawaiian shirts every day to work? I really want to do away with Casual Friday. And you're like, Troy, take a breath. I said we should start a business. I didn't say we have a business. Like he's just got that full like dreams of grandeur insanity. Truly bizarre. My favorite self quote of his is he considers himself a deep cesspool of creativity.
Wow.
Which is just like, that is him that's it. That's him in a nutshell. Like, that is him in a sentence. Let's, I guess just dive in. And again, please, anyone, just stop me whenever.
Yeah, I my reaction to watching again and studying it has just kind of completely nulled my attachment to it. Mm-hmm. And but Chuck's got the fire today, I think. So we'll be hearing a lot from Chuck.
This is gonna run off. But yeah, anyways, if you're not familiar with the Boondock Saints, it is a xenophobic, tough on crime reactionary film about two Christian extremists committing unplanned acts of violence.
He's not wrong.
That's it. That's the fucking movie.
Yep. Oh my God.
And then, like every movie about a vigilante, because no one can ever be original, this movie starts with a preacher doing a sermon, saying his bit, and he's talking about how we should all look out for each other. And he starts the movie off with talking about Kitty Genovese, who is, if you're not familiar, horrible atrocities happened to this poor woman. She was assaulted in the middle of the night in an alleyway, and there's just surrounded by open windowed apartments, and she's screaming for help. And hundreds of people, if not hundreds of people is what I meant to say, are around, and no one helps her out, and these horrible things happen to this poor woman. But from The Watchmen to this movie, it's like everybody's just like, Kitty Genovese, boom. That's it. That's how we justify just like violent vigilantism.
Right.
But yeah, we go from that into learning about the McManus Bros, who are the main characters of this film. They have first names, which I will pull up. But you never hear them. It's
Connor and...
Connor and Murphy.
Murphy, yeah.
But I don't think anyone ever actually says them.
They're the most cliche.
Exactly.
They say them to each other throughout the movie, but it's they're two brothers who are basically Troy Duffy split in half.
Mm-hmm. It's the same side of the same very shitty scuff coin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the fucking McManus brothers. I didn't notice it until upon rewatch. They have identical tattoos on each side. Like it's like they've got the same Mother Mary. They've got the same, it's super cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I digress. This is a movie for teenage boys made by teenage boys. This is
very much.
Another big thing to take away from this movie is cool guys smoke and drink. It's nothing but just lighting.
So much cigarettes.
Yeah, it's just cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. Let's continue on. Just to give you an idea of what kind of movie you're getting into, Troy Duffy doesn't pull any punches. He just, right off the bat, we start with a scene of the brothers working in a meat plant together. And they're having a laugh, they're goofing, just because they're a bunch of violent murderers doesn't mean they can't be a couple of goofs.
Doesn't mean they can't slap each other with cow tongues and
exactly. Just guys being dudes. But Connor, played by Sean Patrick Flannery, just starts the film off with talking to a female employee, and he's kind of training her, it's her, first day, and he's like, oh, so this is how we do things here, and the rule of thumb is, and she cuts him off, and this scene is where I learned where this phrase came from, but she's like, the rule of thumb, that, dates back to when it was legal for a man to beat his wife with a stick as long as it wasn't any thicker than his thumb.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Connor being the stand-up guy he's like, oh, well, can't do much damage with your thumb, right? Shouldn't it have been rule of the wrist? To which she, rightfully so, freaks out and hits him. And then his brother, defending the family name, punches this woman right in the face, and that is the title card.
Yeah.
It's like, bam, misogyny. Boondock Saints. That being said, I will say that also half of my notes are going to just be quotes, because this is a bad movie with good scenes, is what I would say.
Sure.
Or a bad movie with good lines.
I'm very confused about how it got made, with Troy being a first-time filmmaker and how competent this film actually is.
Mm. Oh, yeah. I also am curious how much of it was actually written, because I saw a thing where he basically he would obviously have his script, and he was very tight with it, unless it was someone like Willem Dafoe or an actor that he trusted. And he was just kind of he would let him riff.
Right.
And just kind of as long as they got the idea across, So there's some fun dialogue in here, but I'm also like, okay, maybe none of this is Troy Duffy. But anyways, yeah, so we move on to boys are at the pub. Of course they are, because it's St. Paddy's Day. And everyone's Irish on St. Paddy's Day. They literally fucking say that. And yeah, we get classic quotes like, hey, fuck ass, get me a beer. And why don't you make it like a tree and get the fuck out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, because disabilities are great and hilarious, the bartender has Tourette's. For no reason other than maybe Troy Duffy thinks stuttering's kind of funny.
I did a little bit of research. That actor actually does have that level of Tourette's.
Oh, really?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So it's
a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit of both. Then
it's to exploit it for comedy is a different thing, but that actor actually having it a little different, not as cringy as it might be, but
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say because when I watched it, I'm like, I actually that thought did cross my mind. I said, oh, I wonder if he does have it, just because it wasn't, it came off pretty genuine. I was like, or he's just really,
He did say the lines.
Yeah, yeah.
So he did, those ticks weren't actual ticks that you're seeing on the film.
Oh,
but he does genuinely have ticks.
But it makes sense. And, that means he was bringing it from a personal
blurts out speech that he can't control. So
yeah.
So take that, Chuck.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna slowly backpedal. Maybe you're gonna make me love this movie. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, not this one.
No.
You really can't. But yeah,
that was just one egregious thing I noticed right away too. So I did a little research on it. And, it turned out to be not the devil.
But yeah, also I will say that I'm usually pretty anti-police, usually a pretty ACAB kind of dude, but the cops are the best characters in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, like we get an introduction to the cops, and that scene is incredible.
They did make a very good Three
Stooges level.
Three
almost.
Stooges, exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking like R2D2 and 3CPO level of comedic duo and trio.
But yeah, Greenlee might be the funniest character in this whole movie, who's played by Bob Marley.
Yeah, he's actually in all of them.
Oh, is he really?
He's the one.
Is he
he's
the
one person who's in, other than the other.
Other than the brothers?
The brothers, yeah. He's the one guy who's in all of the...
You know what's funny? I couldn't stand him.
Really?
Yeah. I liked that he was the joke to William Dafoe's character.
Yeah.
Right? I liked when he would,
The fall guy.
Yeah, when he would joke on him.
Right.
But his whole... I didn't... I thought his lines weren't, I don't know. I think it was the actor. He kind of reminded me of like a less funny Bill Burr.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
I mean, he even had the same face and everything. I was like, oh, for a second, I was like, is that no, that's not Bill Burr. But I don't know. I just, for some reason, he just, I didn't.
And his name is Bob Marley.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. He's a white man with the name Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a lot.
Should we hate him for his name?
Well,
Change your name, Bob.
He should have done a Michael B. Jordan, right? And then a Bob J. Marley or something.
Exactly. Nah, I'm sure that's how he gets work. You guys will never believe who I booked. And then it's like the biggest letdown ever. But, it's like the Cincinnati Ha Ha Hut is already like made room for him to come in. So it's like, here, come to the stage, Bob Marley. Oh. But anyways, yeah, I agree with you. I don't actually care for the actor himself, but it's like just the back and forth between Dafoe and him, which Dafoe is incredible.
Absolutely.
I love that he's essentially just Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
Like he just like approaches the crime scene, takes it in, puts his earphones in, and like listens to classical music that helps him envision and relive the crime scene.
Right.
I would actually I could watch a Willem Dafoe film in the sense that like he needs his own movie. Like he should have been the focal point.
Well, I kind of have it down as him winning this film.
Oh, he definitely wins
as
this
well
movie.
as this being the Willem Dafoe show. Because he's the only one not trying to be cool, just is cool because he's chewing the fuck out of the scenery.
Exactly. I'm assuming that he just walked in and was like, Troy Duffy's like on his 7th Pall Mall, and he's just like, all right, so when you reach for your revolver, I want you to really throw the duster to the side. And then I'm sure he's just like, no, I'm not doing that. It's not in my character. Why don't I calmly approach? Just like, I'm sure he's just bringing.
My guess is Willem Dafoe's attraction to the film and the script was the idea that he would have so much room to play and come up with his own thing.
But yeah,
which he does. And it's wonderful.
Dafoe playing Agent Paul Schmecker,
Schmecker,
which
is I don't know if it's a pun or not, but it's Schmeck is German for taste. So if something schmecks, it tastes good. So Schmecker is someone who tastes things. Kind of weird. I don't know.
I figured it was just like...
It's just a weird name to me. Like it. I mean, as a German name, it actually has a meaning.
Interesting.
It's like Smucker's is close, like the jelly.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're giving him too much credit. I think his name's Paul Smecker, because if you say just his initial
small
and Smecker,
pecker,
it's small pecker. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
no, that occurred to me as well.
But anyways, Agent Paul Smecker, he's like on the verge of being a queer icon in the sense that he's just like...
The one thing this film gets right is it never, like, it does draw attention to it, but it never, I don't know, badmouths it, or it doesn't treat it badly.
No, it doesn't treat it badly, but I have a note here that I was like, Smecker has to be homophobic and self-hating because it's 1997 when they like write this script, and it's 99 when they film it. So it's like, we can't have a strong, self-confident gay man in a movie.
Yeah, there's that. It was obviously written by a straight man because of that. But like at the same time, it's not constantly called out. It doesn't affect his abilities. I don't know. It's like it's the one thing they did right. And it kind of for the time.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, it's like leaps and bounds.
Remarkably, could have just been like one long gay joke.
Exactly,
but it's not, because he's the most competent person in the film.
Yeah, although I would argue that they did in the film. They did at some point. I'm trying to remember the exact scene that it was in, but they made a point to make sure that we knew he wasn't a effeminate gay man. Right, which or that, not that you have to be, right, but but just the way it was played out, it kind of sounded like something, if I'm being honest, if teenage me at the time had tried to write something similar,
right,
I might have done that. Oh, he's gay, but he's still cool because he's not effeminate, right?
Masculine.
It was the scene with him and his lover in the bed.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and he's like the lover's trying to be more affectionate and cuddling.
That's the Chuck's point of like being a self-hating, masculine,
right. So
masculine.
I would say that that was maybe Duffy's sort of like here's my character, but he's he's a macho.
Yeah,
that's like Duffy picking Chung Lee in Street Fighter, and being like, well, yeah, dude, like, have you ever tried to like get past your kicks? Like, yeah, I'm gonna pick her. What? Like, yeah, she's tough. Like, you wouldn't pick her because it's like, or it's like accidentally. I'm sure Duffy has done the same thing when he accidentally gets a strawberry starburst. He's like, well, I only ate the pink one because it's like it's got the strongest flavor. It's tough. It's But anyways, I digress. So yeah, we get the intro, and also that might be the first time I just run through the whole fucking movie. But it's just like, this is a movie. Again, I want to stress, it is a bad movie with good scenes.
Yeah.
So the brothers get brought in because there's a crime scene that the cops are investigating in the alleyway, and the cops fucking love them from the jump.
Yeah.
Like, they are like falling over each other to talk to these like two Irish brothers who beat up some Russian guys in their neighborhood, just because they probably just always wanted to be able to do that legally. But one of my favorite lines in the movie is one of the cops is just like, well, you guys are free to go, but like, we got a holding cell and da-da-da. And it's like, is it okay if they stay? And Willem Dafoe says, well, we'll have to check with your mom, but it's fine with me if your friends sleep over. Which, it's a good thing that they stay, because they have a fucking religious epiphany in the jail cell.
Yeah.
Which is that was one of the most sloppy, confusing ways to justify what they're about to do.
It's very high school, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was like this. You could tell he's a first-time director, also, like, in the sense that like he hasn't made a short or anything, because this is very much like that. I've got this great idea for a movie. There's these characters, they're going through it, they fight, everybody dies at the end. It was like it had that strong, like, juvenile high school, first film class kind of thing going on.
Yeah. And if you watch the documentary, he hates film students.
Oh yeah, with a passion. Oh, that was one of my favorite things to go into. Go back to Overnight. One of my favorite things in the documentary is when he's just like dealing with the fact that he's a fucking failure, and his movie has gotten totally blacklisted, and he's at a film school in Boston. They do a screening, and the students are asking him questions, And one of the students, who's a woman too, which had to have really hurt,
it
because he's like such a misogynist.
He was very much, yeah.
Like she's like, oh yeah, like I noticed this, it's in this.
She was paying him a compliment too.
Exactly.
And he totally blew up on her. Like, shut up, mom.
Exactly. No, she's like, oh, I noticed like this didn't, do so hot at Cannes and stuff like that, because he like submitted it to Cannes. But this is your first film, and it's like a really good attempt for a first movie, man. Like, what's next? And he just like blows up on her, like, look here, bitch, like kind of thing. Like, and it's like, whoa, dude, she said you made a good first film.
Yeah.
Like, and she even says, she kind of like backs up and she's like, look, most people make more than one movie. Your next one's probably going to be amazing. The ego is so fragile, though. He cannot handle.
Yeah.
Speaking of fragile, and I know that this movie got, had some fragile things happen to its budget, because originally this was like one of the hottest screenplays on the market. It was his first ever screenplay, and it was like initially picked up by Miramax. Harvey Weinstein at the time, still Harvey Weinstein, but it was the 90s, so he had much more clout. He handpicked the script himself and was like, oh, Duffy, you get to direct. I want your band to do the score. I'm even going to buy this bar that you work in. It was like a Cinderella story, like a dream come true. But of course, he ruined it with his constant abrasive bravado and, self-sabotaging behavior. So he got the script got just kicked to the side. He eventually finally got it produced by Franchise Films for less than half the original budget. Mm-hmm. And you can see that in the sense that this is some of the worst props and fake blood and costumes I think I've seen in a major film ever.
I saw that there was a lot of there was a couple squibs that misfired. There's that scene with the pennies over the eyes, and you could see about an inch thick of just
like makeup.
Makeup on there, and I was I noticed that.
Up until studying it and looking at the box office, which I normally don't pay attention to, I assumed it was a normal budgeted film, 20 million. Probably made its money back, but no.
If I remember correctly, I think it was 5 or 6 million that they made it for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, made for 6 million.
I have no idea how much it.
I got the figures. I'll pull it up in a second.
It didn't. It made $30,000
in theaters. Yeah,
because it only got to 5 theaters.
Right. I'm curious what the.
But the DVD sales were 50 million afterwards.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But also because it's Mr. Duffy. The
He's
reason
fucking come after us, man.
Oh, dude, I wish he would.
He has plenty of time on his hands.
He's old now. I could probably take him. This movie only played 1 week and in only 5 theaters because something happened just days before the test screenings. It was 1999. I don't know if anyone wants to take a guess, but
I did read about it. The
Columbine, Columbine
I
happened literally days before. So it was also like, aside from him having a fallout with Miramax, this just made it like the most untouchable movie in America.
Bad timing cultural wise.
Yeah, but also on Duffy failing constantly. He had to settle, and he went with Franchise Films, which gave him only $6 million. But the film became a Blockbuster exclusive. So you're like, oh, cool. Good for him, man. Like, he's going to get distribution rights and all. And no. Unfortunately, Duffy, he signed away his DVD distribution rights to 20th Century Fox to pay off legal fees that he had built up by fucking with Miramax. So due to this, neither Duffy, his producers, nor the principal cast got paid any royalties until years and years later, when he eventually had enough time pass that he could legally sue 20th Century Fox and get his stuff back.
Crazy to think about putting in all this work.
Yeah.
Having this cultural explosion of a film and not have a penny from it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of not having a penny, they going back to the props. This is my transition there. The money, holy shit! It's like
I saw that.
It's ones.
I saw that.
And then my favorite thing, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when they're buying guns from the IRA guy, who's like, "Yeah, you guys are righteous. You guys are doing this for Irish people all over the world, and you're Catholic. Holy shit, this is amazing." He sets down a stack of bills. And it's fucking cartoon money. Like, if you look at it's like,
it's not Washington.
Like,
it's not Washington. No.
It's not Washington. It's not Franklin. It's no one. It's literally, and then like anytime that there's like someone being like, hey, for example, there's a scene where Defoe goes and like talks to this Italian guy who's part of the mafioso group, and he's like kind of like paying him off for like a tip. And he's like, oh, what can you tell me about what's going on at Papa Joe's house tonight? And he puts $2 like,
strangely hidden in an envelope.
Exactly.
So you can't see how much it is.
I've got $2 whole hidden.
This is what was in Troy's pocket.
Exactly.
At the day of the filming.
Yeah, that also happens when Papa Joe is paying that guy for the Il Duce.
Yeah,
right.
Same guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's like that's what it is. Yeah. I'm like, oh, doesn't seem like enough to, murder somebody, but okay.
Do we have a fuck count?
Yes, we do.
Sweet.
Because Rocco's in this, we do have a fuck count. There are exactly 246 fucks in this movie.
Right on.
Also on the subject of Rocco, the character Rocco was actually named and based on him.
Yep.
Because I'm sure Rocco can't act. I'm sure he's just a buddy of Duffy's.
Have you seen him in anything else?
No, exactly. Oh, man. Also, due to budget and time constraints, this one is going to break your brain, Luke. They had to film 35 setups in one day.
Oh, yeah. I heard that.
Wow.
That's like...
That's not possible.
That's like prison stuff. Like, you can go to jail for that.
Yeah.
That's like... If there wasn't a crew mutiny, I don't know how he kept them together. But holy shit. Yeah. What did they have, like 33 days to film this entirely?
Yeah,
I think
33 days to film an entire movie,
which is like pretty epic. I gotta say, like, good job. I can't knock it for the stuff I've worked on, in a similar vein. But yeah, that's just mind-boggling. I can't even think of.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, there's little bits here and there where you have to give the movie some.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Again, maybe not necessarily, how much of it was Duffy's doing or not.
Yeah.
Like in that case, the props to the crew.
The crew,
for sticking through that. Yeah.
The look of the film is very competent for a first-time filmmaker, director who doesn't have any experience, never been on a set. Like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
For the longest time. So, like, kudos to whoever helped him out, because holy shit.
I think, I mean, he had to have help, but I think it's also just like, he's one of those guys who's probably driven just by pure narcissistic rage.
Yeah.
Because he's so self-righteous and so set in like, this is the best thing that has ever been written, and this is going to be the best movie that's ever been made. And if you don't see that, you're a fucking idiot. And he definitely brings that energy the whole time. He brought that to set too, apparently, because he said that the most important aspect of the characters and the pacing of the film was anger.
Yeah.
So he would literally antagonize the cast and crew just seconds before calling action to keep the necessary drive of the movie in their performances.
Yeah, you can see that. You can feel that. It's I feel like the duration of the movie, everyone's just on edge.
Oh, no one's having a good time.
The both lead characters, they're just angry. And so you can see that. I believe that. I absolutely believe that. And you just look irritated.
Yeah.
The second the scene starts.
Yeah.
No one's having a good time except for Il Duce. Billy Connolly, the great Bill Connolly.
Yeah.
The reason why also Billy Connolly smokes a cigar in almost every scene is because he was so goddamn happy to be playing against his type, because he's a stand-up comedian. So he'd literally just tell jokes and smile in every rehearsal. And so they had to give him some business so that he just was like, couldn't be like trying to do shtick in the background, basically. It's like, no, you're going to chomp the cigar.
Yeah.
You're going to chomp the cigar, you're going to hold your guns, that's what you're going to do.
He couldn't stop smiling when he revealed his 6 pieces. So he gave him a cigar. So he's still smiling if you watch. He just has a cigar in his mouth too.
Yeah.
But just again, I'm just gonna keep chopping through.
Go for it, man.
There's just so much goddamn slow. I mean, I guess it's a movie. It's a movie in the '90s, but it's like the slow mo and the shaky cam. Oh, my big question I got watching it, knowing it was a low budget film this time. How many fucking helicopter shots? Oh yeah,
they must have blown a good chunk of their budget getting those shots, man. Those are, 1998. That shit was expensive.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. Every time they go to a new scene, there's an actual helicopter shot. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they spent their money, but Jesus, I could have done without a few of those. I could do with an establishing shot on tripod, at the front of the building.
Exactly.
It's just fine.
I have to assume he knew a guy.
Maybe. I don't know.
They also filmed it in Toronto, so maybe it was just a little cheaper in Canada.
They filmed parts of it in Toronto.
Okay.
Mostly the Rocco going into the restaurant to, or the bar to kill those guys. You can see if you look at it, you look at the street. None of the businesses, the logos make sense. It's all weird Canadian stuff. Sorry, Canada.
Oh, speaking of sorry, Canada, they brought Ron Jeremy to Canada. Oh man, dude, the hedgehog cannot act. He's so rough in this, and also he is in which I know that I've been away and you've been kind of slowly shaping this, but I guess we'll just get to what I'm gonna start calling the icky stuff, the icks and nons. As far as I just called
it things I hated, but now we're talking about Ron Jeremy. Yeah, that's.
But so this movie is definitely, for many reasons, it's canceled. But one of the big reasons why it's canceled, it does star Ron Jeremy, who.
Jesus.
Yeah, if anyone's not familiar, in 2021 he was indicted on 30 counts of sexual assault on 21 different people, including people who were like as young as 17 and 15. So
and if you're even less, you don't know who Ron Jeremy is. He is a porn star from the 80s. Mm-hmm. He's been in the business a very long time. Very famous.
Which he was actually cast. I mean, obviously he was cast because of that, but Troy Duffy is on record saying he cast him because he wanted someone in this that you'd be like sitting there with your significant other watching a movie and you can't admit to your like wife or partner you know who that is, and then she can't admit to you that they know who. So it's like this kind of weird elephant in the room that eats away at you. So that's the kind of edgelord that Mr. Duffy is. But and I'm just gonna 2 quick things on the hedgehog, and we'll just move on from him because we don't need to waste breath on this guy. But that he is in one of the worst age scenes in the entire movie. Speaking of things, just like is this movie canceled? Absolutely. There's a scene where Rocco is meeting with Papa Joe, and because Rocco's the funny guy, he's the silly one. So Papa Joe's like in a bad mood. He's like, "Tell me a joke," and the joke he tells is like just a bad like racial joke, which I'm not going to recite for the podcast. But just know that Rocco.
Come on, Chuck, you're the funny guy.
Okay, fine. All right. So there's I'm just bleep everything. There's a guy, guy, and a guy.
I'm just gonna play elevator music.
Exactly.
We'll come back in later.
But Rocco is actually, ironically, like trying to clean up the joke as he's telling it.
Yeah, he's trying to be PC.
Yeah, he's trying to be PC. And then of all the people, it's like one of Ron Jeremy's only lines in the movie. Ron Jeremy's like, no, say the word. And Papa Joe's like, yeah, say the word. And so then he has to drop some hard N-bombs.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow. What a...
Even worse than that, there's the S for Mexican people.
Oh yeah, no. I meant like not and also just so you know, this is an equal opportunist film. There's a lot of hard S's, a lot of hard F's.
This is also like they're doing a Boston thing.
Yeah,
and this is a very much Northeast Coast kind of deal where that stuff's just thrown around like it doesn't fucking matter. Like I'm pretty sure even today, and it's
definitely.
It was a very much of the time thing, but like even back then it was pretty inexcusable to just throw that shit around.
Oh yeah, you throw the N-word around like it's an empty Dunkin' cup, It's just like
yeah, and it's like I don't know. They have the least amount of those actual people to represent, themselves and stand up for themselves.
Exactly.
It's all just I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised they had so many actual Italian people in this film.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's that thing. It's like, we're not hurting anybody as long as those people that we're not hurting aren't here.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was one of the notes I had written down was, that scene in particular. I don't know. For me, it felt like they left the entire joke and they just made it run so long. I think, not necessarily that it would have been better if it was a little speedier and cut a little short, but just the fact that they just dwelled on it for so long,
I think that speaks to the mind of the director and the writer quite a bit.
Oh yeah, no, like if you see any interview with this guy, he's very much like the cut of it's like I just say what I want, you can't take a joke, go fuck yourself kind of mentality.
Right. Yeah, it's just the crass nature of.
Yeah, but anyways, we'll just put we'll put Mr. Jeremy to bed with one last final scene. His final scene is he's going to like go masturbate, or as one of my favorite euphemisms in this movie, he's gonna go play a little fireman time, as Willem Dafoe likes to say. And he's like, you know, he's taking part in a peep show and like watching some strippers and stuff like that, which, like, you know, no shame. Like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But yeah, Ron Jeremy is in a room, you know, watching a peep show and masturbating. And why is Ron? I have one question for you, gentlemen. Maybe you have an answer, maybe you don't. Why is Ron Jeremy masturbating in this movie?
What's a peep show?
Oh, what's a peep show? Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. So actually, that's also in that scene. Willem Dafoe does, enlightens everybody.
That's right.
But why is Ron Jeremy masturbating in this movie so unsettling when I've seen the man have sex several times?
It is. What's weird to me is that he's not even watching a peep show. He's watching a video on a a fucking
not
small
in front
TV.
of him, but yeah, off to the side.
I mean,
He's in the arcade, which is like, ugh. I'm going to go off topic really quick. I was just a quick story time. That was one of the most uncomfortable I've ever been, like, as a young man, kind of coming to terms with, you know, sexuality and all that kind of stuff. As I remember being like 18 and just being like, oh yeah, like, I'm 18. I can buy cigarettes, I can buy pornography, and I can gamble. So, you know, it's like 18th birthday. I'm going to go do all of that. So, like, I went to the local, like, porno store and walked in and was just like, oh, it was like the scenes in SpongeBob or Ren and Stimpy where they cut to, like, the really hard cut, like, beautiful, like, frozen scene, like, the beautifully, like, painted grotesqueness of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, just taking in, like, the skeeve of it and being like, oh, like, just seeing the internet, like, in person.
yeah.
But just being blown away that there's, like, a thing in the back that just says arcades. There's no video games. I'm just gonna spoil that for you.
Yeah.
It's grown men masturbating midday to porno films on their lunch break, and then, you know, going about their day.
And they know it's happening. Like,
Yeah.
They just it's not.
But yeah, that was one of those where I was like, oh, maybe I am still but a child. Maybe I. Uncle Sam, don't send me to war. I'm just a boy. But anyways, yeah. Ron Jeremy meets his maker in the peep show, which, that was, I watched this movie with my wife. She also had, like, fond memories of it because she's like, oh yeah, she also kind of similar, not as toxic masculine kind of thing growing up, but just of like, like I watched this movie when I was like, I don't know, 16 or something. And of course I loved it. It's, you know, bang, bang, shooty, shooty, and like, fuck you, motherfucker kind of thing.
Right.
And she clapped. She clapped when Ron Jeremy got shot. She was so stoked. She was just like, oh my God.
Let's join her.
Exactly. A little. That wasn't the first time last time she clapped, I meant to say. That was not the last time she clapped. She also clapped when Rocco died. Because she was like, she could not understand that character.
Yeah.
In the sense that, and again, I kind of had to be like, I'd like bring myself down to a very low level to get why I liked him as a kid. Like, I was like, well, he's the funny guy. And like, you know, he can't act. And he just says fuck a lot.
Yep.
And he's kind of an asshole. And okay, I'm going to stop defending this man right now. Which also, speaking of Rocco being an asshole, this is also one of the most unforgivable scenes in the entire movie. Why does Rocco grope a passed out stripper?
Because he's Rocco.
But I was like, why is that in here? Like, why is it like we're out here, you know, fighting for self-righteousness and justice, and we're going to, like, you know, take this city back from the fucking scum? We're also going to grope a titty. Just like, it was like so...
I'll tip her.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like, just like, oh, dude, that was like one of the cringiest things in here.
Yeah.
Which also, yeah, they did not... That was also the thing is with this movie is like, I think, again, I feel like all the actors are just doing the heavy lifting of the writing. Because, like, there's no fucking plot in this. In the sense that, like, they really are out here just committing unplanned, unsystematic murders the entire time. Because, like, Rocco's like, well, what's next at one point? And they're like, well, Rock, we don't have a clue. Like, we're just gonna, you know. And it's like, you don't have a clue?
Sorry, Ireland.
Yeah. Oh, God. But also, so we're just gonna keep, I guess, cruising along.
That's what I attributed it to being like Pulp Fiction, because it's a bit of a non-linear story. All of the crime scenes are told backwards. we see the crime scene, and then we start to learn how they came about.
I did love that.
Yeah.
Also, the best scene in this entire movie, which I'm sure it's unanimous.
There was a firefly.
Exactly. Oh God, I wish we wouldn't get sued. It's like I want to play that audio so bad.
Don't worry about it. I think we're good to go.
Okay. Can you? I don't know what the legality is, but it also just also talking about like the time and like the culture around this movie. There was my friends were into like fucking edgy and stuff, and they were into like some of them were into like hardcore music and metal and stuff like that. And like I still get down with some hardcore, but definitely. But there's a band called Bleeding Through. If you're not familiar, they're a metalcore band. I can't think that I wish I would have written it down, but I just remember a buddy of mine being obsessed with playing this one Bleeding Through song because it starts with, and this is back in that time where it's like all you had to do to be a punk band or a hardcore band was just rip your favorite piece of dialogue from a movie and then just wail on some drums. And it's like, dude, that's like the sickest song I've ever heard. Oh, dude, I was about to roll this blunt. Can you put on Bleeding Through? Like, this is going to be so fun. Yeah. But anyways, that is the scene of the movie. I also love the lead up to that moment. The scene where Dafoe is actually present and reenacting all of the movements while he's retelling how the murders went down. Which, this is also like a scene that has so many of those quote unquote fucking cool guy like Duffy things. Like, he's just sitting there patting himself on the back. There's this, during like this particular raid, there's a scene where Sean Patrick Flannery shoots a guy and like cocks his gun, discharges, and the shell flies up. He catches the bullet casing midair. And
slow motion, of course. Yeah.
Slow motion, of course, because we wouldn't expect any more. And then he catches it at the top and signs the cross, which I feel like he wrote that first. He's like, dude, I got the best idea for a movie. And it's like, what is it? This really cool dude, like, kind of looks like me, but not. And then everyone's like, no, not really me. No, he kind of looks like me. Well, we're the same guy. He's in this duster, and he shoots this bullet in slow-mo, and it's like he catches the shell, and it's like, dude, I'm going to be a dude. But that is easily the best scene in the whole movie. I wish that the film was done that way the entire time, like that the flashbacks to the murders actually had Dafoe acting along.
Right.
And then I wish that, it was more of like an actual like Sherlock Holmes sort of thing of like, oh, Dafoe is the main character. And then it's like, because then it's also if you flip the movie that way, you've actually got a film.
Yeah.
In the sense that you're like, oh yeah, these guys are, quote unquote, like moral and doing what's right and doing God's work. And then like through Dafoe's eyes, you're seeing it's not. Which is what pissed me off the most is when Dafoe has a flip towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got an arc.
Yeah. Where his arc, I hated his arc though. I hated that he just like comes to terms with like, you know what?
It makes no sense.
No, it's so fucking unmotivated. Also, that scene is so melodramatic. I love how Dafoe's just pouring sweat while he conducts classical music as like bullet shells and cars explode. Oh my God. Yeah, that's like again, I mean, we haven't gotten to like what we're doing with this movie yet, but just YouTube that scene and that's Boondock Saints. That's your Boondock Saints for the day. That's all you got to do. And then back on Dafoe and getting to his like character arc. I do love that he gets to that scene by literally just binge drinking at a gay bar till sunrise. And then he just he stumbles into the church and passes out in a confession booth. Not necessarily because he's like, quote unquote, looking for answers, but he's just like, he's like, sunshine and like mouth still tastes like whiskey.
Right.
Oh God. Yeah. But also that does, again, bad movie, good scenes.
Yep.
I did love the like pseudo Mexican standoff too of Dafoe passed out in the confessional booth, priest about to speak to him. Rocco breaks in, puts the gun to the priest's head, and is like, hey, you're going to like tell this guy what we're doing is right, and da-da-da, and you're going to like basically also probably distract him while I just shoot him point blank here and kill him. And then Sean Patrick Flannery comes in, grabs Rocco, rips his head through, puts a gun, and then it's just like the beautiful chain of like, it's like the most dangerous game of telephone you've ever played. It's like, tell him to say this, Rock, and Rock's like, and it's like, hey, priest, and then the priest finally like spits it out. Also, I love that it all comes down to like, it's all that priest's fault. In the sense, if you really want to play the blame game, like it all boils down to like that police officer or that priest just completely giving carte blanche to them by telling Willem Dafoe that it's all right.
I don't think he did. He kept speaking in like generalisms, and Willem Dafoe kind of just read what he wanted to out of it. He also had a gun to his head, so I'm like a little.
Oh no! I know. I just meant like
First hand.
Be a different movie if the priest was like, no, they're terrible. They're behind me. They're gonna fucking kill me. Just arrest them now.
I realized last night watching this that that priest actually has like one of the better performances in the film as an actor.
Oh yeah.
I kind of believed him most out of all of them.
Yeah, the boys kind of got ourselves. They get attacked by Il Duce, which is the firefight scene. But what's with Il Duce? He just gets released from prison whenever they need a hit. He's like a caged fucking animal.
Yeah.
Just like literally, he's like Blanca. Gonna go back to Street Fighter. He's like fucking Blanca in Street Fighter. Like he's just literally like he's even in the same stance. He's like seething, and like you have to also put him in a giant fucking bird cage for a parole hearing.
Yeah.
They say he's been there for 30 years or something like that. I think that was the line. You know what? It's funny. What I noticed about that scene, the shootout, was they unload like 2 clips. But they're not like I remembered it differently in my head, but when I rewatched it, I'm like, they're just standing there, like firing at each other.
Yeah, they're not
and
moving.
I think it's Rocco. Rocco's the only one who I think runs off to the side, like as he's shooting, and then falls in the bush, right? But I realized I'm like, oh yeah, they fired so many bullets, and they were just standing there, and it looked cool. It was don't get me wrong, I agree. Yeah, probably the best scene of the film. It looks really cool. But then like when I really, I was like, oh, there was like no choreography. They just were just standing there, and they all missed, which makes me kind of
bad shots.
And maybe I understand on the brother's part, but then it makes me think, oh, well, the Duce was supposed to be this great thing. You're telling me,
He had just a weird amount of firepower. I mean, it's guns. That was like the thing to go for.
Oh yeah, this movie is
I get more just like, oh, it looks cool.
The one thing I really liked about that scene was that Smecker gets it wrong. He says, and there were 6 guys, right. And it shows 6 people in Boca blurred out, but it was just the one guy. That was pretty cool. That was a good trick.
I know. I love that they did give him that. Like that's when Greenlee finally actually gets something right.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What if it was like one guy with 6 guns? Which, oh God, and I'm sorry to just keep backtracking to that, but I do love the Three Stooges patter between all those guys, like things that I haven't touched on, and just I'll fucking run through them because I know we're kind of getting towards the end here.
Oh, dude, go ahead and take your time. We got, we'll do 2 parts if we have to, but
I love that Greenlee is like in the first scene, he's like breaking it down of what he thinks happened.
Yeah,
and he's like, he attacks this guy because he's bandaged up. Where's he going? He's going fucking nowhere. And it's like, why is he doing it? Because he's smart. Also, this guy's just jumping on people like Super Mario style. Basically, he's like, I think we might have a serial crusher. That's like one of that scene still cracks me up to this day. Like that scene definitely holds up. Yeah. And then Willem Dafoe comes in. And he's like, oh, do you think we have a serial crusher? Like, just like you fucking idiot. I also and then when they get to the Russian hit, and the guy's like, they put pennies on the eyes. What do you think the symbology of that is?
Yeah.
Symbolism. I think what the word you're searching for is symbolism. And then when he like figures it out, and this has always made me laugh. Even when I like took this movie seriously and was like, oh, dude, this is like one of the greatest works of male art of all time. But the bit where Smecker like puts 2 and 2 together and figures out how they did the kind of like pseudo Mission Impossible drop through the ceiling and whatnot. Mm-hmm. He's like, this makes me feel like river dancing. And then it cuts away from a close-up into a wide, and he does a fucking jig.
Yeah.
And that Willem Dafoe jig makes me laugh every time. Like if I ever like don't want to do an episode with Luke, if I'm ever just like, I don't know, man, things are tough. I'm having trouble paying rent. You just show me that little jig scene, and I'll be like, okay, man, we can do this.
I'll go stand on the other side of the room and do a jig, and then we'll come back and record.
It's funny. I read that Willem Dafoe was actually opposed to that. That Duffy had to, Duffy told him, oh, this is what you're going to do. You're going to get up and you're going to do this dance. And he said, why would I do that at the crime scene? And he's like, oh, because your character would. He's like, it's so ridiculous. And that's, somehow he convinced William Dafoe to do it. And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
I think because he's having so much fun. I think Dafoe is having a blast in this movie. It's towards the end of the movie, so we've been saving it for last, but it's also, that drag scene is insane.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that he just like, that's his plan is to just like, the boys are in trouble. Like he gets the information. The boys are in trouble. They're going to be killed any second. I'm going to put together a crazy, like, well thought out drag outfit, which also my wife sitting next to me, she's like, oh, they would be dead. And I was like, well, yeah, da, da, da. And she's like, no, they would be dead. Do you see his hands? And I was like, what? And she's like, he got his fucking nails done.
Oh yeah.
He finds out, he finds out that they are like seconds away from, getting a bullet in the temple. And instead of being like, oh, this is crazy. Oh, what's the craziest thing I could do? I could throw on a dress and just walk in there. That's how I'll get in there. He's like, what if I also bought some really nice high-end MAC makeup? What if I, there's a salon near my house. I'm going to get a blowout. I'm going to he just goes all in.
Yep.
Which also, I'm not trying to, I think drag is a beautiful thing, and I think we need to defend it at all costs. Because who are people to say we can't do that? Anyways, I want to get into politics here, but I will say this: Willem Dafoe looks like the female Gremlin from Gremlins. That was the first thing I thought when I saw him in the getup. I was just like, oh my god, he looks like the female Gremlin from the Gremlins bar scene. Which also, we're doing Gremlins. Maybe not next, but soon.
Yeah.
I'm holding you to it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Maybe I don't want to wait till Christmas. We're gonna do it soon. But yeah, I also love that he gets in with the getup because he's like dressed as an escort. You've got one of the most elite assassins apparently in the entire world, as Papa Joe says, motherfucker's hiding in the bushes right now. You've got like the killer of killers hiding in the bushes, about to just take everyone out. You've got the two most dangerous men in the entire city. Never mind, they're like handcuffed and you just killed like one of the trio, but you still have, it's like having like Dahmer under your feet, basically, in their eyes.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? Let me fuck this escort really quick. Like, you're just like,
totally did not make sense.
No.
And then his compatriot is going around and go, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then he just goes, hurry up.
Exactly.
Well, that turned over quickly.
Yeah. This is the worst. Are you insane? You're going to get us all killed.
Like,
you know what?
You're right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, have fun.
Hey, if she would have brought a friend, buddy, I'd be right. Yeah. Which also I do love when Defoe and him are about to hook up and the guy's taking off his pants. And I don't know, she's like, and Defoe, is like groping at him. And he's like, oh, you want a shot at the title? You want to see the champ? So it's like he calls his penis like the people's champ, basically. I thought that was great. I also love that as soon as he Defoe shoots this like dude and gets up, catches himself in the mirror, and the first thing he says is, too far, gone too far. Like, I love that he has that moment of self-actualization of like, whoa, I am an FBI agent. Yeah. I could have just walked through the front door and with a squad and killed everybody and done the thing. And it's like, no, this is,
One thing I just want to point out from that scene, which was totally bizarre. I don't know if I just missed it before, but there's like Willem Dafoe being that character gives the guy actual tongue.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched
they
he goes into it.
I was like,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It's just kudos to Defoe
of all the misogyny and homophobic stuff that's in this film, there's a lot of homoeroticism in it.
Oh, this movie is so gay.
Insanely.
This movie
not
is
just
so
the brothers,
gay.
But like
like they're brothers because if they weren't, they'd be lovers. They're shacking up in a like weird, like hostile. They're like they have identical tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they shower together. They like.
and I do wonder if like culturally in gay culture, if this film like played well.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like no, like honestly, like I'm pretty sure like had it not been dumbed down with like some of Duffy's bullshit, like Defoe's character should by all rights be a queer icon.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he is like, despite all the self-hating and like people saying like the Freudian slip scene where it's like, well, what do you think about the word I'm not going to say, man? And it's like, do you mean the fat man? Yeah, that's what I said, the fat man. Like aside from that kind of stuff, like it's like, yeah, Defoe he's doing everything right. Aside from Duffy tapping him on the shoulder and be like, hey, you're like a cool gay guy, but you can't be that cool, okay? So you got to stop it. Look, we're not supposed to like them, okay? So just knock it off.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the intensity of that kiss was definitely all Defoe.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Duffy was like, oh yeah, just go kiss him, little peck, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kiss the fuck out of him.
Yeah, well, the other actor, I mean, I don't know how many takes they did, but the other actor was in like there too. Like,
he's yes-anding.
No flinching, no. Yeah, it was.
Dude, half of acting is reacting, and he's taking it in. He's doing it. But yeah, I've actually, aside from some like, little tidbits, little trivias, I feel like this whole thing was, picking nits and picking it apart because
it deserved it, man.
No. This movie deserves to be fricasseed. Like this is, but I just want to touch on something that I'm very happy, and hopefully I don't put this out in the atmosphere just by saying it. But I am so happy and so surprised 4chan hasn't fallen in love with this movie just yet. Because like as much as they love like the quote unquote like Sigma male films of like here was a man who wouldn't take it anymore, and my only thought is like is it the religious like touches and the Irish stuff that keeps them away?
No, I think this movie came out over 20 years ago. I think it has gone through the internet cycle.
Yeah.
It's been latched onto by people for sure.
Okay. I just feel like it's like, I don't know. It's like, and I don't want to I do want to talk about a lot of the movies in the quote unquote like Sigma realm because they're decent movies in that realm.
Right.
Like, I would love to do a Taxi Driver or something like that. But like, I'm so surprised it's not, I don't go on like Instagram or Facebook or something and see like a shot of, maybe because it is just dated now officially, but it's like, I'm surprised there's not like the Joker scene, of like just any shot of them smoking a cigarette and then just like text about, male superiority. Yeah. Also, they literally have a fucking manifesto. So I'm surprised that like, 4chan, 8chan stuff aren't like, oh yeah, man, like we're just gonna latch onto this with like tooth and nail. And again, it's gotta be something. It's gotta be the age. It's gotta be like the religious touches or something. Cause they're like above, believing anything. So it's just like, they've gotta all be self-hating atheists and stuff like that. So maybe it's like it's like these guys would be cool if they weren't Catholic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
And on that same note, like I do love the movie ends with like the street interview segment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's like, what do you guys
cool.
Yeah. But that literally like felt like reading any comment section on the internet in the sense that it
was 2000, man. It was before the internet really took off. So it was the beginning of all that.
Oh, but yeah, like that kind of.
Y'all out of steam there?
A little steam, yeah. Whew. You guys are allowed to talk now. I've got plenty of little like my bullshit fun facts. But yeah, dude, you guys got the floor for a second. I'll take a breath.
Yeah. No, again, like I said at the beginning, I remember the movie very differently.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of all similarly were like, yeah, I remember it being cool, this or that, and yeah, I really was not expecting, to turn on this movie the way I did after I was like, oh man, like this is not good.
Yeah.
Chuck, I think you said, a lot of good ideas in there. So good scenes sprinkled throughout. I think, maybe even, I might even be inclined to say that there is the foundation of the film. I think a good premise or just general, but just executed poorly and with all that extra, bullshit thrown in there.
Do you guys think it would have done better if it had its original budget? And
backing?
Absolutely.
No, that's what I was going to quick transition to that with, had it had its original budget and its original like casting ideas. Oh my God. Like, the brothers were originally supposed to be played by Mark Wahlberg and Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And just the names alone, it would have killed. I think it would have blown up. Also, I think like that would have, the star power would have propelled it, but also that would have brought like Wahlberg bringing like the stupid Boston authenticity. He would have had his fucking like, he would have had his soldiers behind him basically. And the reason, aside from Miramax blackballing this movie, the reason why Wahlberg passed is so he could do Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Which, holy shit,
thank God.
win on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then McGregor was super into it. The only reason he dropped out is because he got in a drunken, heated argument with the director about the death penalty.
Yeah.
Absolutely sounds,
and I bet you know which side of the coin Duffy's on with that one. And I bet you know where McGregor stands. So
yeah,
maybe they both are super pro. Actually, I take it back. Maybe McGregor's super pro death penalty.
Shit.
And then it's just like, they're both just like, no. Like, it's not enough. You need to reincarnate them and kill them again.
And, to add to the Troy Duffy douchebag train, I did see on there that somehow Keanu Reeves was thrown in. I don't know if it's true, but he was thrown in there. And then Duffy said, that guy's fucking...
Talking shit about him,
Yeah, I was like, really? Like the nicest guy in Hollywood? Like,
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I have the quote. Keanu, like, he's talking about people who were, like, considered, and he's like, well, Keanu Reeves is a fucking punk.
Yeah.
And Ethan Hawke, like, he's got to be one of the worst actors I've ever fucking seen. Like, but those two were both considered.
Yeah. Just ridiculous.
Also, this movie's already canceled, but it could have been like the perfect triangle of cancellation because one of the original choices to play Paul Smecker was Kevin Spacey.
Oh, Jesus.
So you could have had Kevin Spacey, Ron Jeremy, and Weinstein paying for it all.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick Swayze too.
Yeah, there's Sylvester Stallone was going to
Sylvester
be.
Stallone for a while.
That would have been really weird.
Oh yeah. So you telling me we got a serial crusher, right?
It would have definitely become about him.
Yeah.
The entire film would have been about him.
Although Defoe was the right choice and he just absolutely delivers. But I want to see a version. I want to see gay Sylvester Stallone.
Still in drag, yeah.
I want to see out and proud Stallone.
I think, what was that one with Kurt Russell is the closest you're going to get.
Oh,
where,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
an uptight accountant. Like the only time he's ever not played Rambo.
Oh, man.
So there's a little history with this film. We've already talked about it a little bit. How Harvey Weinstein torpedoed the film, even after like building it up. And when it went to Cannes, it didn't get distribution, and there's a good chance that Weinstein just kind of like, don't you fucking touch it. I forget the name of their distribution company or whoever they were working with. All of a sudden, kind of dropped them. The only thing I love about this film is that it culturally grew so big, even though Weinstein tried his best to fucking squash it. 'Cause fuck Weinstein. That's what I'm saying. That's my message here. I hope that, I don't know. I just hope that Weinstein saw it surge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Despite his
despite
best
his effort,
efforts.
yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Like, I don't love this movie, but I love the like grassroots approach to it seeing the light of day. And like, you know, it's like as much as I've been bagging on the guy the whole time, but as much as like I don't care for Troy Duffy, his tenacity is actually something to like just really commend. Just the fact that it's like, oh, it's like I got picked up and had my heart broken by like one of the biggest film companies in the world. Yeah. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to make this movie no matter what, which is like, I do love the insanity of that. Like, you know, it's like, if he was less of an asshole, he would be someone to look up to in that sense of just kind of like.
Yeah, it's the only like thing I can align myself with Troy is.
He's kind of got that Mark Borchardt kind of thing.
Yep.
Of just like, which also, oh God, we should do an American movie. Oh my God. Can we, please?
You don't have to ask me.
Okay. Can we, Dad? Can we get a puppy? But yeah, just that sheer like unbreakable tenacity is something that, no matter how you feel about the guy and the movie, you gotta give the guy a pat on the back for that one.
True. Yep. Yeah, there's the meta the meta view for me is like, I love that the film grew culturally despite Weinstein.
And then he had a sequel 10 years later.
Boy, howdy did he. We're not doing that one, don't worry.
There's talk of a third in a show is what
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I was not aware. This is a fun treat.
There's one other thing I just want to talk about Troy for a little bit. He's kind of a one-hit wonder.
Oh, yeah. That's all he's done.
If you look at all of his credits are just Boondock Saints related things. It's like, it's not that great, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because you just don't have the vision, Luke.
You know what? You're right.
Oh, man.
You know, it's funny. So at the beginning, right, I did say that I saw this movie. I'm pretty sure it was 2009. So the sequel was coming around that time. I don't think I saw it right away, but it must have at least been pretty soon after, maybe the next year that I saw the sequel. And maybe it was because I'd seen it so recently, but I fucking loved the sequel. That's a whole, we can do a whole nother,
we're not going to.
No. I'm just saying, I remember, and it's funny because I do remember more people were like, oh no, this is terrible. And I was in the minority. I'm like, oh, I thought the sequel was way better. So I would be curious if I went back now that I, rewatched the first one, like, would I be like, oh,
I don't like to like talk about people's looks and the things they may not be in control of, especially. But I didn't know what happened to Sean Patrick Flannery's face. He didn't look like the same guy. I don't know what happened. Like, it's just the aging was very weird for him.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious how old he was in the first movie in 10 years, because he might have been at that, for a while you're kind of hitting the same, and then you hit that one age, and then it's just like, oh, okay. Then you get that big drastic change.
He went from 20 to 60. But it was such a drastic change. I didn't think it was the same guy. I thought they got a different brother. Like, I thought they got a different guy to play him. I was like, that's what that turned me off of the sequel big time.
Yeah, might have been unemployment. Because I know Reedus was doing a couple things. I don't know if he started Walking Dead by then.
Busy.
No, he definitely had. Yeah. So maybe it was just.
He also had Blade.
Yeah.
He was Blade in like the second Blade movie, and
that's right.
tons of movies.
So I wonder if Flannery was just out.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe that's what aged him. He was struggling.
Yeah.
Well, we'll stay tuned for Boondock Saints Origins.
Let's do
Origins. Yeah.
Okay, I've been silent for so long because, well, I just had to look it up. So he did a shit ton of TV. That's what it was. So just like by being on things like Numbers,
Flannery.
Yeah, being on things like Numbers and the television version of The Dead Zone. That'll age you, bud. You know what takes years off your life? Being in some straight-to-video movie called 10-Inch Hero.
That's pretty much all I got.
That's all she wrote on this one. I think we can all unanimously. Sorry, actually, can we all unanimously? Sorry. You can take me out back and shoot me. Put some pennies on my eyes.
Put some gunshots in there.
Exactly. Would you guys do Wyatt fucking Earp, or would you guys do... That is, again, like, this movie is...
so full of lines, man.
So, no, exactly.
So here's what's going to blow your mind right now is I'm not going to kill it.
What?
I'm going to monitor it.
Okay.
It doesn't get to live, but it doesn't get to, like, be free. But there are such Willem Dafoe performances in here that I can't just outright kill it. It doesn't deserve to live. Like the I don't know, all the shitty misogyny, the homophobia, all this stuff. But yeah, I can't bring myself to just actually kill it.
I am gonna kill it, but I'm gonna kill it with this caveat. I'm gonna kill it with a pair of scissors, because I'm gonna cut out all of Defoe's banter, the drag scene.
Let's re-edit it.
And there was a firefight, and I'm going to put those together on a YouTube video that already exists called Most Epic Scenes from Boondock Saints. And it's going to start with like bad, like Windows Movie Maker like titles, and it's going to be playing fucking Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys for no reason, even though it's not in this at all. And then, so I'm going to kill it, but I'm also going to suggest to the audience, if you remember this movie fondly, don't revisit it. Just watch There Was a Firefight on YouTube and have a great time.
You know what? I think I'm going to, it's kind of along the lines of what Luke was saying. I think I'm going to have to, maybe just keep it as something I, throw in the background for drunken nights, start a conversation with somebody.
Right.
And kind of gauge the room, see what's going on. And, yeah, just for straight fun by myself.
Chuck was looking at us in disbelief.
I think. And
Chuck was sure he had a unanimous vote on this one.
We talked about some of the very few highlights of the movie. I think, those were enjoyable. I did during those scenes. When I was watching it earlier today, I did. I chuckled and I enjoyed certain things, and I wouldn't say it's Sorry, Chuck.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm not throwing away these leftovers just yet. I think.
I'm
another day or two, and
I'm not saying throw the leftovers away. I'm saying, just pick some meat off the bones and make a turkey sandwich. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying just.
No, I agree with what you said though. Like if anyone hasn't seen this, just check out the clips on YouTube. You don't need to watch the whole movie.
Also, Willem Dafoe. I know you're not listening, but if you somehow stumble upon this because you're an insane narcissist who just looks up his own name constantly, if you're hearing this, just call us, but also hit up Troy Duffy and get the rights to your character and just make a Sherlock Holmes movie, or just let's just make a Willem Dafoe led Sherlock Holmes movie where he happens to be gay and dress in drag, and I'll be there first day. I'll buy out a theater.
I agree.
He had to have enjoyed that.
Oh, he had so much fun.
He was in the end credits for the sequel.
Yeah, I have him down as winning the film. He had the most fun.
Yeah.
He I don't know.
He had fun.
Walked away with the best from this project.
Oh yeah, everything that doesn't hurt, he's in, like as scene wise. Yeah. So it's like I'm like, this is the movie with good. I keep saying that, but it's like no, this is a movie with Willem Dafoe. So anything that he touches is gold.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, with that, I have been Luke Lond.
I have been Chuck Starzensky.
I am Javier Martinez.
And we have been the Nostalgia Killers, and we just talked about the Boondock Saints.
Bang, bang.
Thank you for listening. Check out our Patreon. Blah, 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 blah. Oh,
We
yeah.
have a Patreon now?
Oh, yeah. We need to do ad reads.
Yeah.
Eventually. We'll get there. I started writing some, but we don't. Yeah, we need money.
Yeah, I would love to. Also, yeah, anyone's listening. I am a whore. I will sell out. You know why I'll sell out, Luke? Because I feel safe. Because I have Simply Safe. Simply Safe.